We are ready for our first case. Would you give us your name?
Barbara Ann Allen.
Barbara Ann Allen, good morning. Let me go ahead and do your guests. I'm gonna call them out. We have J.C. Allen, your brother. He will be speaking. You can raise your hand. J.C. Allen.
He's off to the side a little bit if you want to step forward. Just
That's fine. All right, thank you. Janice Harding, sister. Thank you. Mary Mitchell, her sister. She out to the side too. Okay. Kawana Causey, your daughter.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
All righty. Johnny Causey, your son-in-law.
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. Lisa Harding, your niece.
Morning.
And Joy Allen Broadneck, your daughter, who will be speaking.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank y'all so much for coming. Family support is so important. It's so valuable to us in what we do here. We're glad to have you. And let me explain the procedure. I'm going to read some information into the record, Ms. Allen. Afterwards, I'm going to conduct an interview with you, starting with me, because your case was assigned to me. After we finish with our interview, we're going to ask the warden to let us know how you've been doing and whatever the warden wants us to know. And after we finish interviewing, we're going to give your two speakers an opportunity to speak. And then after all the testimony has been received, you have the last say. You tell us whatever you want us to know, and then we'll render a decision. And do you understand the process?
Yes, ma'am.
So your name is Barbara Ann Allen. Your DOC number is 481877. Your offender class is listed as first. Your offenses are attempted first-degree murder, attempted second-degree murder, 4 counts. You were sentenced on July 19th of 2004. Sentenced to 30 years, 10 years to run CC at hard labor with the Department of Corrections to run concurrently. Your parole eligibility date is listed as 3/6/2023. Your adjusted good time date is listed as September the 10th of 2027. And your full term date is listed as March the 4th of 2033. Does that sound about right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. My first question to you this morning is, well, why are you in jail? What happened?
Well, I don't want to elaborate on the case.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything I say might sound like I'm trying to justify
Yes, ma'am.
the crime I committed.
Mhm.
And I shot someone, a kid.
I guess what I'm asking is, what had the kids done, or what had you thought they done?
Like I say, like I thought it could be a lot of things I can tell you, but
Yes, ma'am.
I don't want to come across as trying to make it look like I'm justifying them. It'll make you all think that I'm trying to justify the crime and not own up to what I did, but the circumstance surrounding the case is all gonna sound like excuses and what you call them, but I don't want to justify what I did.
Okay.
Yes, I shot someone, various, my mind, I could tell you a whole bunch of reasons, but it would be justification because I don't want to justify something like that because there's no justification for it.
Yes, ma'am. I agree. I agree with that. I hear what you're saying. But I read the police report because although the part about the actual crime where you found the kids and you shot, but I wanted to know what happened to lead you to be driving around looking for those kids. I want to put this on the record, what's in the police report. And then if you want to speak to it, you can. If not, that's fine.
Well,
But the police report indicated that there were damage to your trailer where you were living the previous night. And for some reason, you thought those kids had caused the damage to your trailer. And that's why you were looking for. That's what the police report stated. And I just want to put the record. If you want to speak to that, you can. If you don't, that's fine.
really, I wasn't looking, I wasn't going looking for the kids. Had been up to the trailer park earlier to talk to the guy that I saw with the ball that was thrown into my trailer. I went, his mother wasn't home that morning, she was at work, so I was going back over there that evening tell her that he was gonna get in trouble hanging over there with, with the little guy next door, because it was getting in mischief, and he was with him. He was the one seen with the ball, and that I was letting her know before I called the police, and he was going to get him in trouble, because I know her,
Good.
my in-laws.
Okay.
Yeah, but whatever happened, it was totally my fault, and I don't want to come across as trying to justify any of this, and I want y'all to know that I take full responsibility for what I did, and I'm sorry that I caused the pain and suffering to the victim and to the Williams family, and that I'm very sorry for what I did, but I'm not trying to want to say nothing that gonna come across as justification, because there's no justification for what I did, regardless of what the reason was.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that. Let's move on now. I do want to go and state at this point that probation parole reached out to the victims, and you have no victims opposition. Your victims are not against you getting out early. One of the victims has said that he has forgiven you. So I want to put that on the record. So it is good to know. And I was glad to see that. But on the other hand, the law enforcement community is opposed to your early release. So I just want to state that for the record. And there are some law enforcement that's unopposed. You have some law enforcement that's opposed. When I said law enforcement, we're talking about the sheriff's department, the DA's office, the judge, and the police department. We get their opinion as well about early release. And it's mixed. Some opposed and some is unopposed. I just want to state that for the record. So tell us how long you've been in jail. Call out for the record how long you've been in jail on this charge.
20 years.
20 years. And what have you been doing in these 20 years?
Well, when I first got to prison, before I got to prison, when I first got to jail, someone sent me a Bible study, one Bible study. I don't know who it was, but from there on, people kept sending me Bible studies, and I kept doing them until I got shipped to St. Gabriel. And I got to St. Gabriel, I continued to send me different Bible corresponding courses. Then just before I was moved out of Aquarius to juvenile in 2008, I was in Emmanuel Bible College course. I was on the first part going into the second part. But for some reason or another, when I got moved over there in 2008, my Bible study from Emmanuel College stopped, and I had no way of contacting them for to get it continued, because I was in a seminary like. Then my certificate got lost in the flood for that.
Oh.
But because I couldn't get in anything academic, I kept myself busy with doing corresponding courses. And I didn't get in anything on the compound church until 2010, when Celebrate Recovery came. And afterward, it started getting, this discipleship came, but it was through the church too. So I got into that. And from then on, I just kept doing all kind of trying to get in a JC club, the JCs, the culinary art. And the last one I was trying to get in was upholstery. I was about to get in that, but just before the flood, when my eyes got bad on me. I had just got my schools back. I was in the ABA class. That's for the refresher course. I already had my GED. And I was going into upholstery. But my eyes got so bad, so I had to quit that course. And that's when they found out that I had cataracts and glaucoma. And my eyes just kept deteriorating, so I had to stop taking those kind of classes. But I also continued to work in the yard for 7 or 8 years. I was working doing corresponding courses and doing all kind of church activities, and kept going to church. I still go to church. I just kept myself in God's hands, I just kept doing good, doing positive things. I kept myself busy, and
So what do you do every day now at the prison? What do you do now?
Well, I'm a housekeeper. I'm still doing housekeeping, and I'm in a victim wellness course. And I go to church every Monday night if I don't go, it's only because I'm too ill to go, but I go every Monday night to church.
Now, how's the victim awareness course going?
Well, I done made 4 classes, but by me having surgery on my eye in March, I couldn't go the first week it started. And I went the second week. I think I went, but off and on, I've been having to miss some class because I just had another surgery on my GI ostophagus, and last week I had to miss last Wednesday, but when I'm not at the hospital, I'm always at the victim awareness on Wednesdays. I go over there.
Good. Can you tell me 1 or 2 things you're learning in victim awareness? I know you got a lot of medical stuff going on. Do you know?
I learned not to use violence or something happen, or I won't sit down and I won't think on it. I'm not gonna do it violent. I would handle something through the proper channels. Like we had one lesson there about someone had mugged someone's grandmother. And so some of the people in there say, well, they would have approached the victim because they were so mad and angry. Well, I told them I wouldn't have approached it that way. I'd have let the authorities find out who had did it, the victim. I wouldn't have took it into my own hand and go confront nobody about altercation with no one.
Good. Well, that brings me to another question. The last write-up you had within 2019 was for a fight. Do you remember what happened with that?
Well, the lady kept taking her body and knocking my bed up 2 or 3 feet off the floor. And she was throwing cake and stuff in my bed. And I went and reported. Every time she did something, I go report it. At night, when I work every day. And on the weekend, my days off, she would have card games there, which I didn't say nothing, couldn't rest. But late at night, she would pull her trunk out and in the dark, off in my bed, anything she could to keep me awake, she was keeping me awoke. So the last time before we had it, I was coming back out the front from eating, and she accused me of some kind of piece of paper or something I was supposed to be throw it under her bed. She was sitting in the door waiting on me when I come back from the kitchen. I was waiting on the visit from my daughter. I was going to go take my shower and go visit with my daughter. So me and her had words and everything, and they called it a fight. They called it a fighting thing because my cough I had in my hand, well, she kept threatening about she was going to do me this and do me that. And she came over there toward me. Before I knew it, my coffee wasn't hot because I was fixing to drink my coffee and take my shower. And I ended up dashing her. And that's why I went to lockdown.
Look, thank you for your honesty in that. I know that was hard, but I do want to say for the record, prior to 2019, you hadn't had a write-up since 2011. So you had been managing very well before that. You do have a history of a DWI in 1999. Do you think you need any kind of substance abuse treatment?
No, because I just was a social drinker. And that day, my girlfriend, she kept calling me to come to Tippett. I was working hard. I had been tired and working. She kept calling me to come to Tippett with her and everything. Coming back from Tippett, that's when I got the DWI.
Oh, okay. What about drugs? Have you ever tried any kind of drugs? Marijuana?
No,
ma'am.
No, ma'am. I don't.
Clean and sober. On the day this happened, you were clean and sober. You hadn't been drinking on the day of this crime that you were in jail for. Do you remember?
Yeah, I think I had drank a few beers at my cousin's house.
Okay. But thank you for your honesty. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So in CR, have you been enjoying CR? How's that been going?
What is CR?
Do you say you was doing Celebrate Recovery?
Oh yeah, I've been finished that.
Oh, good.
I finished that, and I finished discipleship, and I was finished School of Righteousness, and that was 2010. And I also had 2 brothers. I had 2 brothers that died. One died in February of that year, and one died in November. So it was rough trying to graduate. I had 2 graduations, and I had 2 funerals to go to. I'm
so sorry for your loss.
Was
Yes, ma'am. Now, I do want to say for the record, you got a total of 440 days of programs. So you've been busy, been doing a lot of the right things.
Yeah. I try to
But
keep
let's
it-
speak a little bit about, I know your daughter is here, about your transition plan. Is it your plan to transfer to Texas?
Yes, ma'am, my daughter, me and my daughter.
Good, good. That's gonna be a big change for you. You think you can handle it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I
How
can,
How you know you can handle it?
because I know she gonna keep me on the right track and she's not gonna let me, you know, you go nowhere and try to get no weapon or nothing like that. Cause she's in charge of my finance and everything. She in charge of buying everything I need right now, you know. She takes my baby daughter, she is my power of attorney.
Okay, good. Good, good.
Gonna be sure that, you know,
Okay, good. That's good. I was glad to hear that. I do want, go ahead, you saying something?
yeah, in the meanwhile, you know, I never got in the street. And I was supposed to go temporarily to my brother, Brian Kenneth Allen house, for to do it on the outside, you know, I don't know, they never got back with me and told me that what they had to contact my brother, anything, Miss Collins, was the lady that, the last one I thought she was supposed to talk to Miss Hudson. Well, when I
Okay.
went, Miss Hudson told me it was the classification thing for to do it. When I went to classification, they want to tell me it was records thing to do it. And I haven't, my daughter said she haven't heard nothing from them, you know, by coming to her house, by them giving her anything. Right now, if I do get out, I don't know which way, where, you know, whether it was, what was.
So, yeah, some facilities kind of wait for the hearing and then decide to submit the application. So if you're
Alright.
successful today, then they will submit that request.
Yes, ma'am.
And with the fact that it is family, you know, it's promising. It's promising that would happen.
Alright.
And how would you support yourself if you go to Texas? What are your plans?
Well, I
I know
know
you
that,
have some health concerns. So what's your plan?
well, I know that right now with my health condition and thing that I cannot handle a job, but
Mhm.
I did do a little work and then I would try to get my old pension or a pension or something, you know. I have a little bit I can get.
Good, good. Because you did work, you were working before, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I do want to say one other thing for the record, and my colleagues may have some questions. DOC, I know they've talked to you about it, do an assessment, it's called a needs assessment. And you come out high in mental health and you come out high in antisocial thinking. Do you understand what I just said?
Not about the antisocial thinking though.
Yeah, the antisocial thinking is the opposite of what you said. You said in that victims class. You've been antisocial when you was telling them other folks that they were gonna go and get the guy that had robbed their grandmother. But like you said, no, the Lord is handled. So that's not antisocial thinking. And I was glad to hear that. I just want to stay on the record that your assessment at the time you did the assessment, you were high in those areas. So that's not what you demonstrated today. The answers that you've given me, that's not what you demonstrated. My colleague,
Yes, please.
Mr. Roche, you want to hear the one person?
Yeah,
What you want to tell us, what you want us to know about, and thank you, Ms. Allen, for answering my questions. What you want us to,
Yes, Miss Allen's here with us and, you know, she does work, obviously in our housing unit as house cleaning. But, you know, due to her age and some of the medical and mental health reasons that we have spoken about, you know, it's a little bit slower pace, with her job assignment at this time. And, you know, her most recent write-up was in 2019, but she's done fairly well, less than 10 write-ups in the 20 years that she's been with us. So I think that's just something to note. And we will work with her family if she is granted and the interstate compact is granted. We'll work with her family as close as we can just to make sure all the medical and mental health care and any benefits she'll need, we can get that taken care of prior to her releasing.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Roche.
Ms. Allen, good morning. Ms. Allen, it is my job to assess everything about you. And if I vote to grant you, I think that you will be successful. don't want to um, disturb you this morning, but I need to know before I vote, why a 52-year-old woman carrying a gun drove into the neighborhood, got out the car, and approached an 11-year-old child, pointed the gun at his head, shot him, but the gun jammed. And you reloaded, and you shot him in the neck the second time. What was going on that an adult, 52 years old, approached a child and attempted to kill him?
Well, I don't remember that I was trying to kill him, but I do remember the first shot. I remember that, but the second shot, it took me a long time till I read my papers. I finally had a chance the last time I've been here to brace myself to read the documents and everything. And if the document said that I shot the second time, it had to be truth. But by me, when that gun was shot the second time, I didn't see nothing but I could feel vibration in my hand, but I didn't see nothing but blackness all the way down there, all around where my hand was supposed to be at. I was supposed to be shooting at. I didn't even remember shooting him a second time. Since the paper said that's what I did it then. You know, I probably did it, but I don't know what it would,
You don't remember.
I don't know what made me went off like that.
Do you remember shooting at the 3 young ladies that was off in a distance?
They say I did, but all I know is I felt the gun in my hand moving and vibrating and moving. But I don't know about intentionally shooting at nobody, but I did remember the gun moving this way and that way, and me trying to hold, you know, trying to stop whatever it was. I felt the vibration and stuff in my hand and the gun moving this way and that way. But I never knew those people that say I shot at them. I didn't know them. I don't know them girls. I never did know them. And intentionally shooting at them, I don't believe I intentionally shot at them because I didn't know these people. And I don't know them.
And I believe you, Miss Allen. But getting back to Ms. Wise's question, why were you in the neighborhood in the beginning?
I told him I was going back. I had been there that morning, which the landlord could tell you I had been there, looking for my cousin Gil, for to tell her that her son, because I saw him with the ball that night in his hand. You know, when somebody had thrown something in my trailer, like a car had run into it. We all was in the bed. We jumped up, everybody in the house jumped up. You know, my daughter, my brother was staying there. We all jumped up because we didn't know, we thought a car had ran into the trailer. And the first time I looked out the window, I didn't see no one. The second time I looked out the window, I saw him with the ball strolling around his hand. And I recognized him choking.
And was that Hezekiah Williams?
It was his cousin, Gus, Gil's son. That's why I went to Gil's house to tell Gil. I went that morning, but her landlord told me she was at work, but come back that evening because for her to be back. I told him what had happened, that I saw her son. I didn't know his name was Gus, that I saw him with the ball, and I wanted to tell Gil to let her know to keep him from up there because he was going to get in trouble because the next time they do it, I was going to call the police. That's what I was going to my cousin.
Ms. Allen, that's for 20 years in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see yourself in that situation again? And what would you do?
I know I wouldn't go out there. I know I would not. I would call the police right away. And I would not try to handle that myself. Definitely not.
Ms. Allen,
And-
thank you so much. Thank you so much for answering my questions. I think you've satisfied my curiosity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rocha. At this time, we can hear from Mr. J.C. Allen. What do you want us to know, Mr. Allen?
Yes, here,
Yep.
good. Well, I wasn't prepared, for this, but, you know, like she said, in fact, I hadn't even realized that she had been going through, taking all these courses and stuff like this. I myself, and I'm not just want to talk about me, but by doing so, I know, it's been 6 years in the Marines, and I've been through a lot and seen a lot and done a lot. And I know you can get in some situations sometime that you're forced into. But you have to react. And from what I hear, she's learning how to, instead of trying to take care of these things herself, to react to them in a certain way. Now she has somebody on her side right now, from what I've heard, she has a God on her side that's guiding her and kind of directing her. And when you take the time to accomplish the things she had, serving, and I know a lot of people, when they get into situations, you got a lot of time on your hand. This is the way to spend it. Spend it to improve yourself in these different situations. I'm 2 years younger than her, and she's always been an older sister to us, a protector to us. And I'm being a parent like she was, and I'm not justifying anything, but I realize a maternal instinct is it's a substance to deal with. And I believe, from what I've heard here today myself, that she's accomplished a lot. And that's something to be considered, you know. In fact, I'm proud of her, because I didn't know she had did so much. And people that's outside had an opportunity to do these things don't even do it. But and I think that's about it, all I have.
All right, thank you for coming today. We appreciate it. Miss Joy Allen. Next. Right.
Morning. Well, I want to start by saying thank you to you all for hearing us this morning and taking your time to review my mother's case. My mother, she has accomplished a lot within the 20 years that she has been incarcerated. She has also mentored and ministered to other inmates who have come through and probably likely been in her dorm where she was. My mother has always been about peace. And I say that because she really doesn't bother anyone. And before this particular incident, to my knowledge, there was not any violent offenses on her record. So that's something that, you know, she's never had prior to coming here. And she's the type of mother who will guide you, give you advice and so forth. And she gives anyone who comes to her advice. I look up to my mom because she's very strong. She's strong-minded. Her work ethic prior to, you know, coming here, it's been fairly good. And while she's been here, it's been fairly good. They can probably tell you if she's not working, she's probably ill or at an appointment. And she's, you know, she's just a strong person, and I love my mom. And when she's released, I do intend for her to come to Texas to stay with my husband and I. We do have a home for her. I don't expect her to work because of her medical conditions. As any child, you know, you may have a child, or you all may have children yourselves. Whenever you get to a certain age, the kids want you to retire and kind of kick back they don't expect you to do much. But as parents, I know she's gonna try to do something, but I don't expect her to be a person to go out and work 40 hours a week or 20 hours a week. Anything that she needs, of course, myself and my sister, my brother-in-law, and her sisters and brothers would likely, step up and help out. I know for sure, my sister Kiana, it was 3 of us. Our sister Dawn, we lost her last year. But my sister Kiana, she's here today as well. And she'll make the drive from her home to my home and make sure that mom has everything that she needs. And she has taken a lot of classes and courses. And whenever her mother passed away, she was only, I think, 22 when her mother passed away. So she took on the role of mom for her younger siblings. Anyone who needed advice, they went to her, anything that they needed. If she had it, she tried to make sure that she gave it to them. She made sure that they were going to school, even as a young mother herself, she did these things, making sure, taking care of her oldest daughter and her younger brothers and sisters, making sure they had food, making sure that they went to school, making sure that they were cared for as a mother would. So she stepped into those shoes. And even when my aunt had her daughter, my mom, my aunt couldn't take care of her, but my mom took her in so that she can have a place to stay. So she's always been a motherly figure for not only her own children, her sisters and brothers, her nieces and nephews. She would take care of them, babysit them when my cousins or aunts had to work or so forth. She's always been a strong pillar.
Wrap it up for us.
I'm sorry.
That's
Sorry.
okay, that's okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you. All righty. There's no other questions and no further testimony. Now it's on you, Miss Allen. What do you want us to know before we render a decision?
Well, I want to thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to be before y'all, for y'all to review my record and everything and see that I'm a changed person. I'm not the angry person I am when I came in here, and that I've been trying to keep myself focused doing things and working and, going to church and taking up what I could take up. I never had turned down a course or somebody asked me to get in stuff. I even took 2 courses when I was shipped to Tulsa in 19. I even took 2 courses up there, although I know that I wasn't getting no credit. I just like learning, I was supposed to be a teacher, but circumstances, things happened. I wasn't able to teach school, become a school teacher, because like I said, I had my mom, I had my siblings to raise, and everything. And when I got my daughter pregnant with my daughter in high school, I had to drop out of high school, so I never was able to go back, but I was able to go back in 96 and get my GED. So I had all that before I came to prison, and I want to let the Williams family know that I'm very sorry, and I'm so glad that I don't know how they did it, but I never expect them to forgive me, because it's kind of hard now. I haven't really all the way forgiven myself, and the shame and the remorse, I'm always gonna have that with me, to live with, because those are I've been taught coming up, those were my people, my relatives, and I'm just so ashamed and everything of what I did. And I want to, let them know that I'm very, very sorry for what I did, to them, to cause them the suffering and the pain and suffering. I called the victim and the family,
All right, well said, Miss Allen, well said. The panel ready to vote?
Yes.
Okay. Miss Allen, for me, my vote is to grant, for several reasons. One is your positive family support. Is outstanding. And you're gonna be moving to a whole nother location, to Texas. And Texas have a lot of programs, that's good. And what the warden said, you got a positive institutional record, and you don't have any victim opposition. That speaks volumes for me, that the victims don't oppose you. And then you have some law enforcement who was unopposed as well. With special conditions, as the warden has already stated, they're gonna do what they can to connect you with the services that you need. And condition for me now is that you are to cooperate with that. Don't get out of jail. You don't need to go to no counsel, you don't need, no, yeah, you do. You still need to go to any of your mental health appointments. And I would like to see you get a substance abuse evaluation and follow that.
Yes, ma'am.
I know leaving and change is gonna be a whole lot on you. So 6 months after you're out, I want you to start going to CR and celebrate recovery at least 3 times, 6 months after you get out.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
a year after you get out. You've been out for a year. I want you to start doing 4 hours a month community service. Speaking to girls and women.
Yes, ma'am.
They say you other figure, I mean, if you could just go to, I'm sure there gonna be a lot of facilities and centers, even at your church. And just share your testimony and encourage young women and girls. But that is my vote. All right, Mr. Roche.
Ms. Allen, it was a pleasure meeting you this morning. And I think you're ready. I think you're ready. I just had to get in my mind, your frame of mind at this present time. And I think you're ready. My vote is a little different from Ms. Wise. I'm going to grant you. I'm going to grant you conditionally for completing victim impact. You're in that program now. It's important that you complete that program. Other condition before you must have an approved ICOT to Texas. Those are 2 conditions before release.
Yes, sir.
Victim impact. And if you hadn't started yet, start your ICOT to Texas. You have a good transition plan with your daughter. You have a new sheriff in town by the name of Carsey. And she's gonna lay down the rules and regulations. And make sure you go to your doctor's appointments and that you don't work too hard.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes we get with 72 years old. And we can't work as hard as we used to work, okay? I'm gonna add 2 conditions. You have a curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. And you will have no contact with the victim or the victim's families.
Yes, sir.
Good luck.
Thank you, Mr. Roche. Mr. Freeman.
Thank you.
I also grant conditional on being accepted to Texas through interstate contact. There's be no contact with the victim and you're not to return to Louisiana without permission.
Yes, sir.
So, Ms. Allen, you have 3 votes to grant. Your parole has been granted after you complete the victim awareness. I hope you can, and then you get accepted to the ICOX to Texas.
All right. Thank you. I sure appreciate it. Thank y'all very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all.